Hello there, folks. Not as late as what we're usually accustomed to, but sometimes that happens too because of IRL and, on some people's parts, shenanigans. You know who you are.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Well, things happen. That's all I'm going to say. Not going to make a big deal of it. Um, I'm actually going to cut the lo-fi a minute because something fairly significant and rather tragic um, happened in the world of Transformers uh, this week, and Steve had actually requested that this be read out, and that is Transformers star Peter Spellos has passed away at the age of 69. He starred in the animated Transformers series as well as the TV series American Dreams. He was previously diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which I believe is the same cancer that claimed the late Patrick Swayze back in the day. As reported by TMZ and confirmed by his friend Jennifer Smith, the actor died in the early hours of Sunday morning, November 19, at Franciscan Hospital House in Indianapolis. The acting student, who has power of attorney for Spellos, said he has been receiving care at the facility since his health started to worsen. He was loved and cared for and surrounded by people during his final days. Spellos is survived by a brother, James, who has confirmed he will be cremated. His family members are also planning an online service for fans to honor him. Spellos is best known for voicing the character of Skybite in the Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon series in 2000. The role made him extremely popular on the Comic Con circuit, and he played it across 39 episodes. Alongside his voice acting in anime, Spellos also appeared in hundreds of TV shows and films in live action. He played Captain Larry Bridgewater in Men in Black 2 and Gus in NBC's American Dreams. Spellos was also Elmo in Married with Children. And that show has not aged well in some respects. Um,
No, but it's still funny though.
oh, yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Ramsey in The Guyver and had roles in ER, News Radio, and Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. I have to say, as a TV series about soups, very underrated. Just saying.
And he was a big fan of Superman as well.
Excellent.
So it was like a dream
Mhm.
come true when he ended up starring in the show.
Nice. As for movie roles, he played Bloodstone in Billy Frankenstein, Lou in Bound, Big Ed in Possessed by the Night, Howard Brunel in Glass Trap, and Orville Ketchum in Hard to Die. His acting CV also featured titles as Dinosaur Island, Yes Man in the Army, and Agent Red. Um, what more can be said? Sounds like a very impressive resume as somebody who was very talented in front of the mic as well as behind the microphone. Um, I'm not very familiar with the actor in question. I'm probably, if I go back to watch Men in Black 2, I'll probably be paying attention to the subway driver. Be like, I know you now, sir. I know you now. Um, but from the sounds of things, I mean, especially from before he came on the air, from Sir Stevens and Raiden's thoughts on it, a very well thought of actor as well as a very highly regarded human being. All I can say as an outsider to this, cancer is not to be sniffed at. It's a horrible disease that I would prefer that it didn't exist anymore, but that's not really within the realms of our control at this time. And I offer his friends, family, and fans my sincerest condolences because, as I've said a few times before. I've lost a few family members to cancer, and I know how much it stings. And all I can say is rest in peace. Uh, Steve, you requested this to be spoken on here. Is there anything you would like to say?
Well, I think one thing that I will always take away from this was because he was willing to share his story with others, his experiences in life, especially when doing improv. And we had me, I know me and a few other people that used to go to the Transformers convention. We had a blast doing the improv. Met him in 2014 at Auto Assembly, and several times when he kept reappearing in the convention circuit. Just one thing that I will always take away from him was he inspired me creatively to try and get my OC characters made. And he gave me the creative spark. It was something like a line that he said that was, "Never think of what could have been. Think
Hmm.
of what was." So don't have regrets when you want to try and do something. Go out and do it.
Wise man.
He was just so, and people just didn't treat him like a guest at the conventions as well. He was literally one of the fans. He was able to converse with us on so many different levels. People like that are very rare to find.
Hmm.
Um, and with his loss, I think a lot of people are feeling it at the moment. And
Hmm.
my heart is with them. And I'm just going to finish up before I tear up by saying, Peter, thank you for the time that you shared with us. You will never be um, forgotten, and you will always live on in our hearts.
Very nicely said, Steve. If you want to go off mic and get yourself composed and get and put together, you can do that.
Thanks.
It's all right. Uh, Raiden, anything to add?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really know that much of the guy, but I know that he was a very big part of the reason why I am a big fan of Transformers, and that's his character Skybite from Robots in Disguise. Because like I mentioned off air, Transformers Robots in Disguise was my first foray into the actual Transformers aside from Beast Wars, because that's how I got into Transformers as a whole. So his character for me just hilarious but threatening at the same time, and I like how much he has given so much, especially how Steve was mentioning. So
Mm-mm.
for me, all I gotta say is just Requiescat and Paches, man. You know, he's up there. He's up there now with the greatest of actors of our time. So
Mm.
that's all I gotta say. Rest in peace.
Uh, and finally, Madam President, anything you'd like to end this with?
Sorry, I was on some when he was talking to me. I can't really add anything to that because wasn't familiar with his career. I just was familiar with what Steve told me about him, so I can't really add anything to that. All I can say is I hope he finds peace. I can't really say anything else. Really I can't add anything to that. I'm sorry.
No, 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 that's fine. Um, yeah, it's all that we can really say. Um, it's interesting how Steve mentions quotes. There's something I found on MovieWeb that there's one or two things that are there's going to be some resonance um, with this, and that is 20 anime quotes that hit hard. Now,
Oh.
this is a rather long write-up, so what I'm going to be doing is reading the quote and then just reading how it resonates, because the person who wrote this, there's a lot to get through, so we'll just, keep it short and to the point. The first one is from Higurashi when they try to attack on Titan to Fairy Tail. The quote is, "Friends are nothing more than the people whom you spend the fun yet meaningless times with. When those times get rough, they aren't there to support you." And this is how the quote resonates. It might be her artificially induced paranoia talking, but Reina represents teenagers and young adults who see their expectations trampled when they first deal with the hypocrisy of opportunist peers. Friends are often flaky and heartbreaking at that delicate age. I never personally experienced that during my teens and early 20s, but I think I'm going to have to probably only agree maybe 70% on that one, because not all friends and young adults were like that. I think that one is a case of it probably depends on the situation and the context of, where you may be. Next one. There are angry ghosts all
by the way, the anime. Oh god, that shit is violent. Trust me.
Noted.
Yeah.
There are angry ghosts all around us, dead from war, sickness, starvation, and nobody cares. So you say you're under a curse? So what? So is the whole damn world. From Jigo, Princess Mononoke, 97. And the quote, how it resonates. This passage is a reminder that regardless of the emotional turmoil, illness, and social injustice people face on a daily basis, they should look around them and realize that the entire world is plagued with much bigger catastrophes. It's not that personal issues pale in comparison, but rather nobody really escapes life's trials, and looking at the bigger picture could provide some comfort. I'll actually agree with that one. Just when you think you have it bad, someone has it worse. Next up from Paprika. Don't you think dreams and the internet are similar? Depends who you're asking. They're both areas where the repressed conscious mind vents. Okay.
Yeah.
And how the quote resonates? Psychoanalysts claim that dreams express the desires, fears, and repressed memories of those who lack the resolve and courage to express their feelings in real life. Similarly, people often hide behind bolder alter egos on online platforms, as it is much easier and less confrontational to explore one's imagination and psyche or invent a new persona altogether in the safety of one's home. Yep, I have to agree with that one. Because people do get to be someone else and just get rid of all that venting and frustration that some may not have the courage to do so in real life. So on that one, I agree. That one is so on point. The Boy and the Beast. If you never listen to anyone, you can't give proper advice. And how the quote resonates. People who are eager to succeed often jump over obstacles instead of taking the time to learn from every experience. They love hearing themselves talk and boast about how their small accomplishments, seldom heeding the warnings of those around them who mean them well. It's only by humbling oneself and listening to others that one becomes qualified enough to lead by example. Yeah, because if someone listens to someone else's advice saying, look, I wouldn't do that if I were you, I've been there before, that's just so on point and that's apt. So, yep. The future is not a straight line. It is filled with many crossroads. There must be a future that we can choose for ourselves. And that's from Kyoko from Akira, 1988. And how the quote resonates. As someone who is constantly plagued by visions, Kyoko knows all too well that these are mere guides and that destiny can always be changed by the right choices. So, kind of like Shadow the Hedgehog in a way. When people find themselves at a standpoint, whatever they decide will affect their journey, but they always have the opportunity to take a different path along the way, and only by coming together can they topple their oppressors. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
that's apt and on point.
Rather deep.
It's anime.
Oh, yeah.
There's no future for people who worship the future yet forget the past. And this from Shun Kazuma from Up on Poppy Hill. Very good anime movie, I might add. And it's by Studio Ghibli, so tells you what you need to know.
Masters of story crafting.
And in the English dub, you had such voices as the late Anton Yelkin and Jamie Lee Curtis. Two names I never thought I would hear doing English dubbing for anime, which I thought, okay, I'm intrigued.
From what I've heard, I heard Jamie Lee Curtis is a huge weeb.
Oh, really? Oh, she also showed up at one Power Rangers convention as Time Force Pink.
See?
How this quote resonates. There are many old constructions with historical, sentimental, and architectural value that fall prey to modernization and concrete jungles, and people like Shun advocate for their renovation rather than their demolition. Profit and progress shouldn't be achieved by destroying the past. Absolutely agree. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, yes, you should, if you're building something new, by all means, have something that's up to date. But if something has been standing for as long as it has done, don't wreck it. Simply improve upon it, but it still has the integrity and it still has the essence of what it began with. So yeah, I completely agree with that. And this is a favorite with Win. The nice thing about being old is that you've got nothing much left to lose, and that's from Old Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. I actually watched that a while ago on Netflix. Every time Christian Bale was speaking, I was waiting for him to hear, I want to know about rabbits and bears. I'm like, I'm waiting for a Batman line. I'm waiting. How the quote resonates. Sophie tries to convince herself that aging can have some perks, especially in a flawed world where the war rages on. After one has lived a full, eventful life, struggled with work, and lost many loved ones, there isn't much left to do but peacefully wait for death in old age. Okay. There's deep, and then there's canyon deep. Considering she was aged against her will as a teenager, but only at various points in the movie do you see her become youthful again, but with just silver hair, and how just like, to me you're beautiful regardless, how you think you look, which that's actually classy on Hal's part. Take root in the ground, live in harmony with the wind. Plant your seeds in the winter and rejoice with the birds at the coming of spring. No matter how many weapons you have, no matter how great your technology might be, the world cannot live without love. Whoa. That's deep. Some people are so blinded by greed and opportunism, that's a little too on the nose, especially in this day and age, that they forget to enjoy the smallest things in life, such as grounding themselves in nature and marveling at its seasonal gifts, without which the ebb and flow of life would not be possible. Yeah?
Remind me, did Mark Hamill voice one of the characters in the dub version?
He probably did. Because I've noticed he's gotten his toe in quite a few animes over the years. Because isn't he in the one that Win shared is supposed to be like another up-and-coming one from Studio Ghibli?
The Boy and the Heron?
Yes.
I think I remember. Yes, and Willem Dafoe.
Defoe and
And
how?
Robert Pattinson.
Oh my God! Why am I seeing the Joker and Green Goblin in the same room?
Please do not put that out in the
no.
universe. Please do not put that out in the universe. That'd be like seeing two Kim Kardashians in the world, and right now Liz is coming after me with a chainsaw. You will not put this out in the world. You will not put this out. Okay. Here's a kitty dressed up as Sailor Moon. Ah, that's sweet. Liz is like,
Wait, what? What's just happening?
we're just saying how the idea of Mark Hamill's Joker and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is like nobody wants to see that in the world. And I said, that's like seeing two Kim Kardashians in the world, and as you coming up with a chainsaw, we're not putting this out in the universe. We are not. I was like, okay.
No. No.
Besides, there's already enough nightmare fuel in Liz's mind now.
Yeah, I don't need any more. Thank you.
Here, Liz. Here's a cute kitty in a Sailor Moon costume. There you go, cute
You
kitty.
have my attention.
Now this is a personal favorite of mine. If we reacted the same way, we'd be predictable, and there's always more than one way to view a situation. That's true for the group is also true for the individual. It's simple. Over-specialize and you breed in weakness. It's slow death. Major Matako Kusanagi, Ghost in the Shell, from 95. That movie is amazing, even by today's standards, because the animation, wow. Known for being brooding, pensive, and dramatic, that's just barely scratching the surface with Kusanagi. The Major isn't all too sure there is some soul left in her cybernetic body, but she knows for certain that her missions can only succeed when she is as evasive and as she is unpredictable in her strategies. When people can't anticipate your actions, they can't control or defeat you. Agreed. And
Yeah.
the weirdest thing, in the English dub, let me just quickly do a check. Ghost in the Shell, 1995 English cast. Yeah, Mimi Woods, who voiced the Major in the English dub. When I originally saw it, I thought I was hearing China voice her, because it had a very similar tone, pitch, cadence, and register. And I'm like, yeah, this sounds an awful lot like China. And to be fair, if they ever had done a live action version, her in the Major's outfit, especially with her hair around the time, mid to late 90s, that would have been a good look. That's just me, though. Next. Why do fireflies have to die so soon? From Setsuko, Grave of the Fireflies, from 88.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. That's one of the most saddest Miyazaki Studio Ghibli movies ever.
Oddly enough, that's exactly what I just said, but under the description. Saita goes to great lengths to keep his sister entertained, fed and safe, and in one poignant scene, Setsuko is horrified to find that all the fireflies that were lighting their shelter the night before have died. At such a young age, she remembers the passing of her mother and asks why beautiful creatures in nature and loved ones have to die so soon. It's a sad premonition, as she would soon suffer the same fate due to malnutrition. It's always the innocent who fall victim to political conflicts.
Too true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we just went from Canyon Deep to hyperbolic time chamber wideness of deep. I can't really add anything because, damn.
Mm-hmm.
To rise above monsters, we have to abandon our humanity. What we fight, we become. Armin Arlet, Attack on Titan, 2013.
I had a feeling it was Attack on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
In his attempt to convince his friend Eren to defeat a female titan who turns out to be Annie, the girl he has feelings for, Armin argues that sometimes the few need to be sacrificed for the greater good, and that Eren must transform into a titan in order to defeat her. Fighting fire with fire is the only way in a cruel and unforgiving world. Yep, I'm gonna have to agree there. Oh, this next one, I only discovered this movie last year, but such a good look. I'm not sure if I'm searching for a person or a place or if I'm just searching for a job. From Taki Tachibana, Your Name, 2016. Written and directed by Makoto Shinaki, Your Name is a fantasy romance following two teenagers, a boy from Tokyo called Taki Tachibana and a girl from the country, Mitsuha
Mizu.
Miyamizu, hope I pronounced that correctly, whose consciousness occasionally swap bodies. Teenagers often grapple with finding their path, and since none of the leaders are happy with their lives, they take advantage of this novel, supernatural experience to help each other out, and then they develop feelings for each other. Though they get separated in the space-time continuum, they eventually meet in person years later, proving that if two people are meant to be together, they will somehow find their way back to each other. I can't add anything to that.
Nope.
And it's such a beautiful story as well. So well done. Never turn your back on family, even when they hurt you. And if you remember nothing else, remember to find time to eat together as a family, even when times are rough, especially when times are rough. From Summer Wars, 2009.
Ooh, I love that. Ooh, I love that movie.
Yes.
The Jinuchis are descendants of a noble and prestigious samurai clan who was at the heart of political power struggles, so it's only natural for Sake to preach about the importance of family values and hearty shared meals, especially in times of turmoil. Essentially, it's also saying appreciate the little things. Yep. It's not dying that frightens us. It's living without ever having done our best. From The Elder, from Castlevania 2017 to 2021.
Yes.
Based on the classic video games, Netflix's Castlevania is a dark medieval fantasy featuring the last surviving member of a disgraced Belmont as he tries to save Wallachia from annihilation at the hands of Dracula's minions and allies. Considering you murdered his wife, I think he has every right to have an axe to grind.
Honestly, I put that more on the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Don't condone what Dracula did, but at the same time, I understand why.
Yeah.
Voiced by Tony Amendola, the Elder is the kind-hearted head of the Speakers, a group of traveling peaceful scholars persecuted by the Church. The Elder represents those who face life and mortality with dignity and honor and refuse to cause others harm. Nonetheless, they will fight to the death for the greater good if need be. Better to invest all your power and abilities in achieving your goals rather than regret not having taken action at all. I agree. I agree. Love is like a mirror that reflects your bad side, especially when it's unrequited. You get envious, jealous, prejudiced, and resentful. And you have to face all sorts of emotions, but there's no reason to find that shameful. For Marjorie Dore, Shakugan no Shana 2. The Shakugan, I'm not even going to try now, I'm just going to be making things worse for myself. Franchise revolves around the disrupted balance between the human world and the parallel universe of the Crimson Realm. And Marjorie Dore is a complex emotional character who has lived for centuries and known humiliation and defeat before turning into a defender of that balance. Unreturned feelings can lead to despair, rage, and maybe even a revenge scheme. Sounds like only Rikaku on a daily basis. I say that with love, dude. Say that with love. However, since people don't choose how and when to fall in love, there is no point in feeling ashamed of their misplaced desire despite their subjectivity. Because at the end of the day, that's just human. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you don't get your feelings returned, but it's how you deal with it. You know, just like, okay, that door's not meant to be open for me. I'll go to this door down here that's a little more inviting. Those who stand at the top determine what's wrong and what's right. Whoever wins this war becomes justice. Don Quixote.
Don Quixote.
Doflamingo, One Piece, 99 to the present. One Piece has been going for 24 years. Damn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like many real-life politicians and warlords, Doflamingo lives by the might is right motto and believes that history is written by winners. The all-powerful not only determine the fate of the weak, but they also set the rules of morality and justice, and he considers himself as one of them. You're an antagonist, yet you consider yourself moral. Okay then.
Well, to be fair, some of the best villains I don't think they're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Anakin Skywalker at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You'll only realize that you truly love someone if they have already caused you enormous pain. Your enemies can never hurt you the way your loved ones can. It's the people close to your heart that can give you the most piercing wound. Kenshin Himura, Rurouni Kenshin, 96 to 98.
Sir. Yes,
I
sir.
can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
While opening your heart to a new and significant other or friend in a challenging and harsh world can be emotionally and socially rewarding and grant you comfort, it is a double-edged sword that makes you vulnerable and exposes you to heartache. That is true, but the other flip side is, you know, sometimes if you want to establish a connection with somebody, whether it's, let's say for the sake of discussion, Madam President is having coffee break with Salma Hayek, or
Mm-hmm.
Raiden is out on a dinner date with Tatiana Ali. If you want to establish a connection, sometimes you gotta open the door a little bit, let people in. And then later, Liz is looking at Salma writing her phone number down. Is like, "Oh, I'll be calling you later."
We can all use a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I agree with how that resonates. When you hit the point of no return, that's the moment it truly becomes a journey. If you can still turn back, it's not really a journey. Hinata Miyake, A Place Further Than the Universe, 2018. Whether you're in professional, personal, or social life, no complete emotional transformation is possible without challenging yourself, taking new risks, and letting go of memories, attitudes, and habits that define the old you and hinder your growth. I can't add anything to that. That's so on point. War will never cease to exist. Tell us something we don't know. Reasons can be thought up after the fact. Human nature pursues strife. Religion, ideology, resources, land, spite, love, or just because. No matter how pathetic the reason, it's enough to start a war. By Pain, Naruto. Shippuden, 2007 to 2017.
Sad but true.
Mm-hmm.
Humans need very few reasons to bicker among themselves, just look at a daily basis on Twitter. And small disagreements can sometimes lead to serious conflicts on national or regional scale. Reasons don't matter, as they can range from greed to religion. It's all about establishing dominance. Or to some people get offended over the word apple. Don't ask. There are some things that, if you try to explain it, it just makes your head hurt. Like most of the times, Oni was trying to deal with logic during the early days of RDR with TNA.
Ugh.
And that's when the meme "This will only make sense in TNA" was born. Like when Kurt Angle was reading out cue cards to express his views on Jeffrey Nero Hardy. Yes, folks, that is Jeff Hardy's full name.
Ah.
Yeah. The loneliest people are the kindest. The saddest people are the brightest, smile the brightest. The most damaged people are the wisest. All because they don't wish to see anyone else suffer the way they did.
Damn.
Jalel Fernandez, Fairy Tale, from 2009 to 2019. And that's oddly enough reflecting what Robin Williams said when he was dealing with his depression back in the day. It's pretty much echoing what he said. People who have been through the most painful experiences are perceptive enough to sympathize with others in any circumstance and lend them their assistance. Just because they look like they're holding it together most of the time, it doesn't mean they are not haunted by memories, loss, and sadness. Yeah. Because somebody who is sympathetic to somebody going through loss or being cheated or fall prey to someone's scheme, someone who's been through it before is the first to lend an arm of sympathy, maybe even a hug, and just say, hey, I've been there. I know what it's like. Who knew that anime could be that philosophical and that deep? Because damn. That's Raiden, your thoughts.
I mean, even at a young age, I knew anime was going to, you know, it's crazy. It's because that in any form of media, you have people that use real quotes from people, but a lot of freaking a lot of things come from cartoons. Like for example, for me, I was a big watcher of Toonami, and you know there was a lot of quotes that has a lot of meaning in my life. Like for example, which was the big one. Hold on, let me see if I remember. Believe in yourself and create your own destiny. Don't fear failure. You know, that's stuff you can take from real life, and it came from an action block. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
wow.
anime is the same thing. You know, it's why I hold Toonami so close to my heart, because like it's made me the man I am today. And with these anime quotes, it's like real life. It's why kids, teens, and adults hold it so well. And I just feel so bad for the people who've never seen it, who just calls the kid stuff. You know, but I'm happy to see that it still holds weight for a lot of people. So I love seeing stuff like that, especially now with this era. So love it.
I find it amusing when they'll say, oh, anime's just a kid's cartoon. It's like Rosaria Vampire, High School of the Dead, High School DD, and
Vampire
and Call of the Night. Please go watch that and tell me that's kid stuff, because it ain't.
Hellsing Ultimate, Berserk.
Oh boy.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No. Because this is something I think some teenagers and some adults age, say, 20 to 47, animation can be for adults as well. I mean, you look at Rick and Morty. Would you show that to your kid? If you did, you've got issues.
God, no.
Yeah, especially in the later seasons.
I think Ren and Stimpy started out as something more family friendly, but I think like in recent years they've kind of tailored it to be a little bit more adult. And
Yeah, that's when it used to be on Spike TV.
Yeah.
now Dragon Ball Z, when it originally came out, especially on Toonami back in the day. Now keep in mind this is when we had the Ocean dub before the Funimation dub. It's just how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of things where you look at it and think there's clearly some some bits and pieces that don't really connect. And when I actually saw the uncut and unrated versions, I'm like, yeah, I'm understanding why they censored so much stuff with this, because this was the only way they could get it put on like the 4 p.m., 5 p.m. time slots, especially when it came to the Majin Buu sagas and what have you. Because yeah, because
That's why Midnight Run existed. All the uncut stuff.
yeah, similar thing happened with Gundam Wing, because in the 5 p.m. time slot when Hero blew up Wing, his original Gundam, when you see him laying on the floor, he's just laying on the floor catatonic, but in the DVD and the uncut versions on the Midnight Run, he's laying in a pool of his own blood.
Yeah.
Also, Wing Zero, you have to have, nerves of steel to be able to handle that Gundam with such
Mainly the
expertise.
cannon.
Oh yeah. But it was a similar thing with Epion, because he then swaps with Zex Marquise, who voiced by Brian Drummond, who was not only the voice of Ocean Dub Vegeta, but he was also the voice of Eddie Brock and Venom in Spider-Man Unlimited. And to me, I mean, I love Chris Sabat for what he's done as Vegeta, although I love Lapinator more because he just says and does things as Vegeta that Sabat would never do, or would not be allowed to do, should I just say. And most people, when they quote Vegeta, it's always Team Former Star. Don't worry, we'll take care of your baby boy. Fucking better.
Also his amazing range of scream.
Oh yeah.
That his blood-fueled rage when he realizes that Gohan had one of the Namekian Dragon Balls. God. Although I think
That means they took the Dragon Balls.
and the fact that his rage is going across space and time to where Future Trunks is hearing it 20 years later, I'm like, oh wow.
Daddy?
Dragon Ball, hand now, please. I don't have it. No.
No. No.
I love that his blood rage is just broken by Gohan's spike in power, courtesy of Guru. And it's weird how, over time, how the parody has reflected the main series, where Vegeta is actually a more sensible, moral, and relatable figure than Goku is. Because I was watching some clips of when Future Trunks came back into the story, and Goku's saying, "Oh come on, Vegeta, train with me." He's like, "I'm waiting for Bulma to give birth. Her, the little girl could be born any day now." It's like, yeah, but I went off to train for years with Chi-Chi. It was no big deal. Kakarot, sometimes I question how you're still married. In the comment section, believe us, Vegeta, we're still asking the same question. Because, all right, I get that Goku didn't even know that Chi-Chi was expecting Goten at the time, and probably Chi-Chi didn't even know either. But it's the fact that, they couldn't have, sent a message to King Kai saying, hey, King Kai, can you get Dad on the line? Dad, you're a father. We're going to be wishing you back. It's like, you're going to be living up to your responsibility. Oh, but King Kai was it? Wish him back. It's the thing with Goku, in whether it's the official or the parody canon. The character is well-meaning. He doesn't mean anybody any harm. It's just I don't think he's fully aware of some of the things he says and does on occasion. I don't know. Let's get back on track. Steve, thoughts on the quotations from that list?
Very nice list of thought-provoking things there.
Very.
Can very much pin some of them down to almost real-life quotes, but they are very resonating.
Oh, yes. And last but never least, Madam President, your thoughts?
Again, like I said, I can't really share much of anything because I think my brain doesn't let me hold on to things that long where it's like these quotes don't stick with my brain. So, again, that's nobody's fault but my mentally damaged brain. But there are, there are things that resonate there, but it's just, again, like I said, those quotes don't stick with me because I have a lot of things I have to hold on to in my head. So
I feel ya.
I have to remember things, so it's like it's a little difficult to have to memorize quotes from an anime, especially ones that I've never seen and wouldn't stick with me. So can't really add much to that. Also, one thing, you mispronounced his name. It's Lanny Pator.
Lanny Pator, right? My bad.
That's it. It's all right. But just like that was gonna bug me for a second. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But all in all, I can't really add much of anything. It's like they have the article has points, but I can't really add much of anything to it.
Okay. And up for some possible trolling and probably multiple mulligans being called. CM Punk teases involvement at War Games match at WWE Survivor Series on social media. And
No, hell no, I'm done. I'm out.
Nice, bro.
No, I'm kidding. But still, no.
Next week, WWE will travel to Chicago, Illinois for their 37th annual Survivor Series event. Based on the location of the show, many wrestling fans have brought up the possibility of a major return, especially that of former WWE champion CM Punk. Despite previous reports stating that there are no talks between Punk and WWE, the Second City Saint continues to tease his involvement at the November 25 Premium Live event. WWE, it's just pay-per-view. Just, PLV, it's never going to go over. PPV, that gets over. In one of his new Instagram stories, Punk shared an update on his Tuesday afternoon exercise session, revealing that he burned, I'm not repeating that number, calories just working out. The caption read, upon closer inspection though, Punk also attached the song War Pigs by Faith No More, which is a cover of the official 2023 Survivor Series theme song, War Pigs by Black Sabbath. I wonder if that's Triple H's involvement, considering his love for old school heavy metal.
Oh, it is.
Probably.
As of now, it remains to be seen if Punk's teasers will result in a return to WWE, or if they're simply a bluff. Following Monday's episode of WWE Raw, Cody Rhodes' team appears to be down a number heading into War Games, fueling more speculation that Punk may resurface to fill that position. However, recent reports, that pointed that more towards Randy Orton as the likely candidate for the final participant in the men's War Game match. And to be fair, Orton has been wanting to come back for a while, considering he's been out since May 2021 with, I think it's like a back injury that he's got a problem with.
2022, actually.
Beg your pardon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has been out a while. We know he's got issues with his hypermobile shoulders, which is always going to be a problem for him, but he's always looked after himself. So, how to call this? I think on this occasion, I'm going to take a page out of Wynn's playbook, and that the proof in the pudding is in the eating. If it happens, I'll believe it. But for the time being, I'm going to sit on the sidelines in the middle and say, let's wait and see. Because Punk is known for teasing, but at the same time, WWE in the past have played their cards real, kept their cards real close to the chest and not revealed anything. Because when Rock showed up on Raw in 2004 in a segment with the coach and Eugene, nobody knew he was going to be there. They actually had him snuck into the building in blacked out tinted windows and what have you. So him showing up was like, whoa, seriously? The Rock's here? And then people like switch channels, like 2004 Oni under his former username. Oh no, YouTube wasn't a thing at that time, so it'd just be Oni in general. Time to see what's on TNA. Rock's on Raw. Oh, I'll switch over. Oh, that's better. Oh, it's over. Back to TNA. There's us in the future. Why?
Well, back to shit.
Ew. Back to mediocre. I'll go put on WCW during 2000. Everyone was like, ugh. Raiden, buy, Mulligan, or wait and see?
Mulligan. I'm not dealing with Punk.
Fair enough. Madam President, buy, Mulligan, or see how this pans out?
Been waiting to get off my chest since these bullshit rumors have started.
Uh-oh.
Let me make this perfectly clear to all of you. He's not coming back. I'm getting so fucking sick of those CM Punk marks that are just saying, oh, CM Punk's gonna show up at Survivor Series. Oh, CM Punk's the devil. You know what he likes to fucking do? He likes to troll people. That's all he's fucking doing. Can we stop? It's getting on my fucking nerves. It really is. And it's like seeing the same thing on Twitter, seeing the freaking echo chamber from CM Punk fans to news sites. I'm like, I'm getting fucking sick of it. Can we just stop and have this man fade into obscurity like we want him to? Because I'm kind of fucking done with his bullshit. I don't need Hulk Hogan 2.0 on my screen anymore, okay? Let's be clear on that. And if he doesn't show at Survivor Series, guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to have a nice can of Pepsi and imagine it's CM Punk stand tears because he ain't coming back. And if he does, I'm going to be drinking that Pepsi very angrily, but still, he's not coming back. So shut the fuck up and let's move on with our lives. Whew. And everybody's dead. I'm sorry.
Congratulations, Internet. You made Madam President spit bullets.
Sorry, I've just been meaning to get it on my chest because that's been bothering the shit out of me.
Fair enough.
It's all good. Now, this next article was actually submitted to me by Dan, and oh boy, people who love physical media, we have got one hell of a combatant fighting our corner.
What is it this time?
Christopher Nolan goes to bat for physical media. It's scary for filmmakers. Cinema's most vocal defender talks economics, Oppenheimer Blu-ray, and studios stealing your movies. Christopher Nolan is responsible for one of the greatest burns of the modern film industry. In the middle of the pandemic, when Warner Brothers decided to put their entire 2021 release slate on HBO Max, he cuts loose an incredible quote saying, "Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service."
Ugh.
I like the fact he doesn't pull his punches. I admire that. This at minimum, aside from the world event, in the upper echelon of Warner executives proves that Nolan has always firmly believed that streaming is not the thing. So it's no surprise that with the Blu-ray release of Oppenheimer, he's once again going to bat for physical media. If you buy a 4KU HD, you buy a Blu-ray. It's on your shelf. It's yours. No company's going to break into your house and take it from you and repossess it. It's yours and you own it. That's never really the case with any form of digital distribution. But as one of cinema's most vocal defenders, there's something more troubling than consumers' experience with their post-theatrical media. The slow death of physical media with the emergence of streaming as a crushing blow to physical media, and as Best Buy recently announced that they would begin phasing out their physical media sales, including DVD and Blu-ray, and watches the rest of their sales tank in the next year. IGN asked Nolan and Oppenheimer producer Emma Thomas, his wife, about the past and present of home media and what it means to the economics of the film industry. With the advent of beta tapes and VHS in the 70s and their eventual takeoff in the 80s when they became affordable and
Ubiquitous.
Thank you, what you said.
Okay.
The home video market has made an integral part of film's financing. Suddenly, studios don't have to worry about recouping a film's entire budget on theaters. That's actually true, because although Batman Begins only made something like 350 mil at the box office, it found a life on DVD because they sold copies through the roof. In the years since, with DVD and Blu-ray offering limitless re-releases, so remastering to Blu-ray, then 4K, or a director's cut. Although I'm just going to say this, Dawn of Justice, you didn't need to be nearly 3 hours with the extended cut. Just saying. The home video market has given life to movies we otherwise might not have seen, or a second chance to films and filmmakers who didn't quite blow up at the box office. But with the rise of streaming and studios' insistent push in that direction, gonna come back to bite ya, comes the apparent slow death of physical media, which is obviously a bad thing for the business and also a move that doesn't seem to have a longer view in mind. It's an essential revenue stream. I mean, Best Buy is certainly carrying this movie, and they're going to carry on selling the player, so I'm not sure what motivated that decision. It doesn't really make sense, but a lot of economic decisions around home video has always been based on the need to show short-term growth rather than the long-term health of the business. Thomas adds, "I think that the slow death of physical media is a terrible thing for consumers. I think it's a terrible thing for filmmakers who want their films to have a life beyond what their initial release is, and I think that's all of us should be doing everything that we can to keep it going. The truth is, it's impacted the kinds of movies being made, while the realities of how expensive movies are have not changed as much. There's the budget of the actual production, the cost of marketing, and the split with theaters. All that needs to be recouped before a producer can start to see the profit. Matt Damon might explain it better even while his mouth is on fire. During an appearance on The Hot Ones, he digs into the intricacies of home video market economics, explaining how he did a movie behind the candelabra that cost $25 million, but because of all the costs, it had to earn $100 million before he even saw a profit. The idea of making $100 million for behind the candelabra is a massive gamble in the way that it wasn't in the 90s. For Nolan, a director who got his start on indie fare like The Following and Memento, movies from an unproven director with no guarantee of a financial return, he's not convinced movies like that are impossible these days, just different. Getting Memento made was not easy. we could not get it distributed. So I couldn't sit there and say, well, it's harder now to get something distributed. Back then, when we released Memento, there wasn't a distributor as effective as A24 in the world. It's putting out all kinds of incredible and challenging movies on a very regular basis. I mean, they do an amazing job. It's far better than the guys who were around when we were doing Memento. It's not a simple progression as far as the funding, though. Yes, money from physical media fed into funding Memento, for example. But at the same time, there's a lot of money that comes in from streaming and everything. And I think these sorts of things sort of move around rather than fundamentally change. Technology and the film industry continue to shift, doing the same thing just down a different avenue. Another strange industry phenomenon that fits the bill is a movie just straight up disappearing. In the old days, film prints would be thought lost or destroyed for decades before being rediscovered in a janitor's closet of a mental hospital in Oslo. Now all it takes is a thirst for tax breaks. From Batgirl to John Cena's Coyote versus Acme Project, Warner Brothers has made a recent habit of cancelling movies that are already finished. You know who you are. Don't front.
You ain't seeing heaven, bruh. You ain't seeing heaven.
Mm-mm.
No, if anything, you'll probably get caught in a car ride with Vince McMahon, Jim Cornette, and Vince Russo whilst they're all singing Wake Me Up Before You Go out of tune.
That's if the authorities don't start questioning around.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A move that certainly hasn't paid off for the studio where its reputation is concerned. When asked about the idea of a streaming service disappearing a film, Thomas could think of a word to describe it. Awful. It's crazy. I can imagine plenty of bad things, but I think it would be absolutely appalling to spend 2 years of your life on a movie and have it just disappear completely or not be allowed a release. I think that would just be a terrible thing, so I sympathize deeply with the filmmakers that's happened to. But it also brings up another issue with physical media versus streaming control for both the artist and the consumer. I'm beginning to have conversations with filmmakers who have made successful films that have gone full streaming sites that have taken off those sites that don't exist in any form, and there's no control. It's scary for filmmakers who don't have that release right now. It's going to be an increasingly big issue for filmmakers, and it's something that we're going to have to address, and the streamers at some point. The other concern, unless you're counting on those in janitors in Norway to save your film, is an archival one. Take The Dark Knight, for example, whose Blu-ray story touches on just about everything we've talked about here. In fact, the Blu-ray release was an argument in favor of employing IMAX for the film in the first place. The Dark Knight was the first major Blu-ray hit title. When we decided to shoot IMAX on The Dark Knight, we went to Warner Brothers and said there will be benefit on home video. Blu-ray was a new format then, and that they were looking to push. You'll see the difference in quality from these high-resolution IMAX cameras. That's carried through in all our home video releases because we've carried on using those large film formats. Oppenheimer was no exception, and we put a lot of care and attention to maximizing the image quality so that the benefit of shooting IMAX film is retained, and you won't get that on streaming. Guaranteed. On the other hand, for the consumer, the archival aspect of physical media is more than just shelf space. It's been very interesting, actually, Thomas said, with Oppenheimer coming out and meeting a lot of people who were talking to us about the film. And a lot of them are talking about which of Chris's films are their favorite, and Interstellar keeps coming up. And now, a lot of these people are way younger than they would have been able to see that film when it came out in cinemas, and it's very clear that they're seeing it on physical media or have seen it on physical media over time. And I think that disallowing people that chance to find filmmakers, to find movies, to experience stories is a great shame. It's a conversation that will keep going, of course. As the distribution avenues available to studios continue to evolve and the filmmakers creating that art that's worth distributing find ways to exist within that system. For Christopher Nolan, though, he's concerned with the long-term viability of the films he's creating right now. We've been having this discussion with home video and retailers for many years in terms of it's always sort of undervalued and relative to where it is in the ecosystem. I think a lot of that is because Wall Street is always asking companies about their future, about where you're showing growth, where are you moving to. Of course, as filmmakers, what we're interested is in right now. How are people watching things? What's the best way for someone to watch it? And we want to maximize that. Chris Nolan and I don't always see eye to eye. Sometimes he'll just say something that philosophically I just don't agree with. I'm not going to go on a huge tangent, but he and I just have different views. But on this, you don't get the quality on streaming that you do with Blu-ray. 4K hasn't really taken off the way it would have liked, but you do notice the difference with 4K. I think the only thing that's holding 4K back is not only the price of the players, but also the price of the movies on 4K as well. And Steve, you're gonna laugh at this a little bit. HMV are being very ambitious, wanting to get something like £29 for Superman 3 on 4K. I'm like, good luck with that.
Oh boy, no.
If it was, say, 20 to £40 for the Christopher Reeve quadrilogy or quartology for £40 on 4K, I might be persuaded. If it was 30, absolutely. But to buy Superman 3 standalone as is at that price, I'm like, no. You know, that'd be like offering me Batman and Robin for £5 on 4K. I'm like, that's clearly overpriced. I know you're listening to this at some point, Randa, but Batman and Robin as a movie, the way it was in the tone compared to the Keaton years, I'm sorry, Batman and Robin fails. As a comedy and as a parody, in a way, it succeeds. But when you know that it's got characters that have been there since the first Tim Burton movie, I'm sorry. But yeah, and as Midnight Serial have reported, particularly with that archival expert, studios are actually losing millions, dare say billions each year with streaming, and as we've said before, you don't get the quality with streaming that you would do with Blu-ray, because if you were to pause, say, Iron Man 2 on Blu-ray versus pausing it on Disney Plus, it'll be very subtle, but you'll see like little inconsistencies with the background. You know, some bits of the chroma keying will have imperfections and subtleties that wouldn't be there with the Blu-ray, because you have to keep in mind when you're streaming, you're being fed the information from the internet, but because it's not coming from the actual disc where the information is right there in the player, and all that information is but something like, I think on Blu-ray it's something like 25 megabits of data per second, whereas with streaming you're barely getting, say, 9 or 10. So you are going to see some inconsistencies. And the other aspect that physical media has over streaming, two simple words: network outage. Because the moment the internet goes dark, that streaming service isn't worth anything. And oh, Dan, if you're listening to this later, I hope you don't mind me saying this. That's why he cancelled his subscription to HBO Max and bought the entire season of Teen Titans on Blu-ray. He got fed up. And this is why I say to people, if your favorite title gets taken off of streaming, or if they edit it to a point like, let's just say for argument's sake, there's the scene in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Uncle Phil is going to set up Nikki's crib, and you hear, oh, absolute nonsense, Jeffrey, get me my tools. Now on the original TV run, DVD and Blu-ray, Jeffrey will say, "You mean your knife and fork, sir?" Imagine on stream. Imagine if they take that out. Good. Now Raider look at like, really? Why you gotta do that?
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
some of Jeffrey's barbs and quips were ruthless, but it would always be done with that touch of class and wit. But just to have that taken as like, I don't like the fact he made fun of Uncle Phil's weight. It was the early 90s. Not everybody lost their collective marbles over jokes just because they didn't go to predict somebody in 2020 would be too sensitive. And it's like I've said this before. I think I've probably said this off air, and I think I've probably said this with people in general conversation. I think at some stage there needs to be like an official list, rules, guidelines, call it whatever. Like, we need to agree upon what is allowed to be said, and here is a list of where some people just need to stop making mountains out of molehills. So, like, for example, list of things that cannot be said, anything that is racial, homophobic, anything else that's discriminatory. You know, it's like, right, there's your list of what you can't say. And then we have the ones where it's like, oh, I didn't like the fact that you did that you said that by red shirt looks lame. You're a red shirtist. Be like, shut the fuck up. You know? Because, Raiden, I think even you can agree, there are some like jokes and phrases said in today that, you know, people just need to take a time and think, you're really getting upset over this, really? Something that was said 25 years ago. I mean, if you were to try and remake Blazing Saddles today, but keeping the script as the same from the original, be like, you might have to change a few things. But then, you could make the argument of, because it's from that particular era, there are certain words and phrases that you have to be era authentic, but at the same time, Blazing Saddles was also a comedy parody, so they could have taken one or two creative licenses and say, maybe you shouldn't say that. But I'm also reminded it was, what, the late 60s, early 70s when Saddles was made, so I don't know. I certainly know with Django Unchained, oh boy.
Yeah.
I remember when Punk was talking about this on Colt Cabana's podcast 9 years ago. They were a little bit taken aback by how many times the N-word was said, and he was like trying to do like a proper count. He said he kind of lost count after 30. I'm like, oh good lord. But the point stands. There's got to be a list at some point of, this is the, all the do's and don'ts. Here is what you are allowed to say. Here's what's off limits. And this is the list of, seriously, grow up, have a Snickers, and just mellow out. This is not even remotely offensive. And on back to the topic at hand. I can't argue or add anything to what Nolan and Thomas have said. Some of, like I said, some of the things that Nolan comes out with sometimes, where he tries to make things too realistic to where he kind of takes away the fantasy element with some things in the Batman franchise. Some things make sense, and there's others like it's taking away things a little bit. But with regards to physical media, he's completely on point. And it's as we said 2 weeks ago of the advantages of physical media over streaming sites like Netflix, Disney Plus, which Disney Plus have been reporting loss of subscribers, and their monthly charge went up from $7.99 to $10.99. I'm glad I cancelled my subscription when I did.
And I'm laughing.
And, you know, Paramount Plus are evidently reporting losses as well. And the only streaming services I actually subscribe to at the moment, Netflix, because you're always going to find something useful on there. And I just have that and High Dive. I don't use Amazon for streaming. I just use it for quicker delivery. And I get an email saying you're not using the full services. Like, yeah, because I got physical media. Why would I need your streaming service for? And also, that say that you could stream music. It's like, yeah, but it means you've constantly got to have your internet switched on, especially on your phone. And my data plan doesn't allow that to be constantly on, online. So that's why I still believe in downloads for like individual tracks and what have you. And like I say, if the internet goes dark, all of that fancy streaming tech, useless. Especially when I think in 2020, Virgin had like multiple network outages during the summer of that year. Steve, I think you probably remember that one. It's just so inconvenient. So, but like I say, I have the advantage of like, okay, I've still got my DVDs and Blu-rays. I'll just pop one of those in. Job done. Steve, what do you take away from what Nolan and Emma Thomas have had to say? Do you pretty much agree with what they've had to say?
Yeah. The trouble is, especially nowadays, studios are trying to find the quickest way to make money due to the effects of the world event of 2020 and 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble is they're going in a direction that is meaning that they are making less money by doing other questionable things. I believe Coyote versus Acme still has a chance of being put out there, but just via a different distributor. As far as I've heard from multiple news outlets.
Yep.
Which I hope that is the case, because maybe that will put the point to Warner Brothers to maybe not write everything off as tax write-off, so you can get off scot-free. I mean, heck, they had the highest earning movie of this year so far.
Yeah.
Not much else I can add.
What does the prudent rated master have to say?
It's like, I don't know what it is. People, even with the future, people are just failing to connect on like different forms of media. I mean, for me, I have basically like half of the stream services: Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. There's a lot of things for everybody for me. It sucks to see that a lot of projects are getting canceled, especially when they're getting made. But I just wish the best that things get a little better, because I don't know what it is. Even with the SAG-AFTRA strike ending, still getting a lot of stupid stuff. So hopefully there's more justice to be had. That's all I want to say. Cause I also support physical media, half and half when it comes to video games and other forms. So hopefully things get right.
Last but not least, Madam President, your 2 cents on the team of husband and wife Christopher Nolan and Emma Thomas's stance on physical media.
I agree with it because, yeah, like I haven't been getting this idea of physical media getting burned into my brain by Oni constantly buying DVDs and Blu-ray, saying we're gonna need these. We have a giant collection of DVDs and Blu-ray, so it's like I'm not complaining, but he has to drill it into my head that physical media needs to like stick around. I'm like, I get it. You've told me this the 5 billionth time you bought a DVD or Blu-ray. You're just justifying that. Just saying. But yeah, I have to agree with that. It's with that kind of stuff with power outages going out, taking out streaming services for a good bit. I don't know. It's like I agree with it. It's just I want to say that businesses are going to try to make money no matter what, legally or or in some cases like Davey Boy Saslav over here trying to freaking commit insurance fraud. Because that's what he's basically doing. It's basically like putting homeowners insurance on a building that's going to he's going to light on fire. So good luck with that. And I hope the government takes you for everything you got. Even though I trust the government very little, but it's better than nothing.
No comment.
But yeah, I believe in physical media. It's just a lot of people are starting to agree with that physical media should exist, but they don't want to give up their streaming services. It is what it is.
Well, it's like I've said, my stance with it is been on two fronts. One, I simply have to reevaluate how I spend my budget accordingly each month, and I don't have Disney Plus because the only reason I had it was for the Owl House, because I love seeing Ida being the conniving troll that she is, but at the same time she's also a great mother figure with a heart of gold when she chooses to be. And the fact that like I say, Disney were putting it up an extra £3 per month, and I'm like, I only want to use it for that one thing. And it's just like, if the Owl House had been put out on Blu-ray, which according to Walmart, they actually did have it on Blu-ray, on DVD, but it's just sold out. Which I'm like, okay, it's the first I'm hearing of this. The only streaming services I use regularly is Netflix and HiDive. And with HiDive, I'm only paying $4.99 a month, US dollars, but converted to pounds sterling, that's £4.30 a month. And there's not a lot of well-known titles on there. Well, Gatchaman has recently been brought over. Azumanga Daioh's on there. Call of the Night is probably their most famous one at the moment, with Farming in Another World, which is slice of life.
I like that one.
What, Farming Life? Yeah, Farming in Another. That's brilliant.
Yes.
That is absolutely brilliant. Especially the shenanigans that Lelouch and Tia get up to. It's a treat to watch, and you get Hiraku like being the most straight-faced farmer MC in there, because in the manga, Raiden's gonna be a little bit envious here. In the manga, he's husband to 27 waifus. And it's like, I'm interested.
I salute that man.
Yeah, I think at the end of from what I've read from brief descriptions about the manga, he's got something like 26 to 27 kids, and he's probably got something like close to 12 grandchildren by the end of it, because the only males in his entire village, which is the Great Tree Village, it's just him, the dwarves who, and that they actually call themselves dwarves in the anime as well. So don't think I'm being offensive or anything. I'm just quoting, what is actually said.
Well, they are a race in D&D, so that you're not offending anybody really.
They're the ones who make alcohol, which the whole village loves. The whole prospect of. And the only other males is his lead Inferno Wolf, Kuro, and maybe some of Kuro's male cubs. But his entire rest of the population are all women. And some are vampires, about 3 or 4 are angels, and the rest of them are high elves and mountain elves. Some are dragons, some are sorceresses.
Vampire?
No. Now the 2 vampires is Lelusi, who's in the anime is his only wife, and her sister Flora, and she's kind of a scientist slash cooking expert, because he introduces them to things like miso and soy sauce, which doesn't exist on their world, and it's just interesting how he introduces them to all the things from this, from our world, where we have curry, we have rice balls, or fish hot pot, and they've never heard of any of these things. And he's essentially allowed to grow all of the fruit and vegetables courtesy of the almighty farming tool, because, long story short, for some spoilers, he meets up with God at the start of the series, because Hiraku passed away at 39 to a terminal illness. It's never actually mentioned what it is, but you can come to your own conclusions what it was or wasn't. And he gets given a second chance at life with a healthier, younger body, and Hiraku wants to try his hand at farming. And he gets basically placed into the middle of this forest, and over the course of, say, the first 3 to 4 episodes, you see this little community start to build from what was just a hut and a few crop fields, and it grows into this entire village where you see waterways, you see kennels for the dogs, you see wheat fields where and grape fields where they make their alcohol and what have you. And it's just a very sort of slice of life with a little bit of fantasy in the background, and that dragon who keeps coming over drinking all the wine, and he has to get hooked out by his his main assistant, because he's always coming there drinking them out. It's one of those, it doesn't sound like an interesting anime, but you start watching it and you're like, I'm going to stick around for this. This is actually all right. How you doing, Sean? He says, and the day will come when the internet will just stop working. Yeah, maybe. Warner Brothers can make more money if they just make good shows, movies, and TV shows. And you can't go wrong with a good curry. I'm more partial to vegetable korma, if anything, but I'm more of a hot dog, pizza, and cheeseburger kind of guy.
I'm more akin to noodles and chow mein.
I like ramen.
So does Oni, apparently.
He does.
Burgers and fries and pizza guy myself.
But
although, speaking of pizza, Domino's are now doing their festive pizzas again.
I'm listening.
I'll tell you later off stream.
Sure. But yeah, Farming Life in Another World is supposed to be coming out on Blu-ray this December.
Yay!
and I will be pre-ordering that because I know that it's not available on Amazon.co.uk, but it is available on Amazon.com. And
Maybe it might be a regional thing.
well, this is one of the reasons why next year I'm getting a multi-region 4K player. Also because I've had my Blu-ray player since 2009, and it's from Samsung, so they don't make that anymore. So I have to go with one that's still in the business. And also, you buy a player and you buy the disc to go with, you're supporting the industry, and you're sending a message like, I support physical media. But yeah, those are the only streaming services I'm supporting because, again, Disney is not giving me a reason to care when I've got most of the stuff that I want from Disney on physical. As like I say, I don't use Amazon for streaming because I've got my own library. I don't need them. And on that note, I think we'll move on from that. Right. Here's a little something that will have Raiden suddenly spouting maybe possible Dark Knight quotes and impressions.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
My Adventures with Superman sets the groundwork for a Batman appearance.
Okay.
Okay.
My Adventures with Superman
Go
is
on.
inching towards its first season finale as Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen are dealing with some major threats emerging in Metropolis, with the new animated series taking the opportunity to drastically shift the Superman lore. With events such as Lois and Jimmy learning Superman's true identity, it seems the show is beginning to set the stage for the Dark Knight's arrival. Thanks to the recent episode, Gotham City's Dark Defender might be making an appearance in the future of the Adult Swim series. So far, My Adventures with Superman has just shown off the last son of Krypton when it comes to superpowered heroes, despite the fact Clark has certainly faced down a few major superpowered villains from DC Comics lore. This new take on the Man of Steel has seen Mr.
This is Pitlix.
What you just said.
Yeah, I can't say that.
Mixaplex. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's like that.
Parasite, Deathstroke, Livewire, Silver Banshee, and many other super rogues arriving in Metropolis to start trouble so far. With Amanda Waller, a mysterious general, assembling these villains in a new task force, take on Task Force X, also known as the Suicide Squad, Superman has left with quite the cliffhanger in Episode 8 as the combined power of the antagonist has placed him into his worst predicament yet. The major reference to Batman in this latest installment came with the character Vicky Vale's arrival at the Daily Planet. Vale has been a long major part of Gotham's lore, with the character played by Kim Basinger in the original live-action Batman film starring Michael Keaton, and to this day, Kim Basinger is probably the best portrayal of Vicky Vale, with Tara Strong coming a very close second in the Batman vs. Dracula. While the Dark Knight isn't mentioned by name in this new installment, Gotham is referenced a number of times, and even the Falcone crime family gets a nod. One fan artist took the opportunity to share what the Dark Knight might look like in the latest animated show. And just go to the Instagram post, if it'll let me. Looking at Bats, it's not too far removed from how he looked in the Batman. Not too far removed. It's still weird looking at Superman's S logo. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, so attached to how I've seen it with the Christopher Reeve years. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Luckily, My Adventures with Superman has already been confirmed for a second season, so the chances of Batman making an appearance are still viable. With the future looking bright for the Man of Tomorrow, it will be interesting to see if any other DC heroes make an appearance in this new animated series. Do you think we'll see the Dark Knight appear in My Adventures with Superman? Feel free to let us know in the comments below. I'd like to see it personally, because whenever they've done team-ups before, or I think probably the best two interactions they've ever had. One of which is World's Finest, which also opened the door for season 3 of Batman the Animated Series, also known as The New Adventures of Batman and Robin. And probably the only other one, the Batman Superman story from the season 5 opener of The Batman, which you had most of returning cast members from Justice League coming over, because it was George Newbern that voiced Superman and Clark, with the voice actress for Lois Lane reprising her role. Although I will say, Dorian Harewood as John Jones, really surprised at how good he was, because his voice really fit the character. And also, I'm probably, not alone in this. I adore this current version of Lois Lane. She is just a bundle of energetic joy. And I like the fact they made her a tomboy, because it's just adorable with just her, boisterous and overzealous nature. It just suits the character to a T. Raiden, as somebody who's a proud fan of the Bat, what do you think of the artwork and the fact that we might see him in season 2?
It's not. It's a possibility. I mean, so far with the show itself, it's really impressive. It's been so long since we got a good Superman show since the cartoon. So I like everyone involved. I mean, Lois's design really pops me. It's a really fun design that reminds me a lot of Luz from Owl House.
Yeah, you're not the only one who's made that comparison.
Yeah, it's like I just see it's like, was another version of Luz? Okay, that's cool. And the other version of Jimmy is really fun too, especially with conspiracy theories. And what I like is that they get the I'm Superman out the way. So for what it's worth, I like what I see. I like what they did with the antagonists. Especially with the Task Force S and all that. Having be involved is might work. I mean, they already got Vicky Vale in it, so might as well just go all out. So
yeah,
I see that happening. So far, I really enjoyed the series. Can't wait to see what's gonna happen in the next season, because so far I love the animation. I love the action scenes, and yeah, I just want to hope to see more.
Two things. Definitely want to see with the show. Just lost my train of thought for a moment. If they do bring Batman in, and just talking about the Batman, they need to bring in Rino Romano, because I think he was very underrated as Bats. Because everyone
either him or Jason O'Mara.
That could work also.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his sardonic tone in Justice League Dark. I feel he had the best lines in that whole movie.
I guess
aside from the grunting.
I like he just goes to Constant. Constant goes, seems like you got a couple of tricks of your own. Not everything requires magic. And the fact he gave the guy in question adrenaline just to wake him back up. It's just like Bat's just going for the realistic approach. And I like the fact after so many years of over-the-top gritty realism, we get something fun, playful, and a little bit more lighthearted. Because I think, given what the world has been through, I think we've all needed that. I'm not saying, Superman and Batman have to be acting around like it's Barney the Dinosaur's fun hour, although Bat's dancing around on that show it's like that's just nightmare fuel in its own right. But maybe just to sort of try and take it back to that balance of, say, season 1 or season 2 of the Batman, where yeah, you still got the dark and brooding stuff, but it's lightened up in a lot of areas because Bruce was actually trying to actually have a life in that as well.
Yeah.
And I love the way Clark and Lois bounce off each other. And somebody said something very apt. Lois is more into Clark than she is with Superman, because as far as she's concerned, Clark is who he is, Superman is just what he's able to be. And I just, like I say, I just love the way that she's written, the way she's voiced. Yeah. Steve, same questions to you. Do you think Bats will show up, and how do you think it will work with him in it?
I think it's too early to suggest anything at this point. If they do bring in Batman, it's a question. Or in terms of who's playing him, it depends really what type of Batman they want to go. With your recommendation of what's his last name?
Romano.
If they go with him, having a younger Batman might complement that much. But it's a case of wait and see.
Because Renos has experience playing younger characters before, because he played Peter Parker in Spider-Man Unlimited, as well as Earth 2's Green Goblin, and he also voiced Randy in Godzilla the Animated Series.
Yeah, Godzilla the series from the late 90s to 2000s.
Yep.
I think he was also Eduardo in Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yes, he did.
Yay, love him.
He said, I can't believe this. It was the episode, I think, where they were getting the Ghostbusters back together as a business, but obviously being led by Egon, and Kylie had been possessed by this spook that has an axe to grind with Egon. I'm surprised she didn't have an axe to grind with Venkman, but that's opening up a conversation that we don't necessarily need to go down, considering some of the things he's done. Eduardo said something, and I was floored that they even had this in an animated series that was clearly aimed probably at preteens. They go and say to him, Eduardo, you can't go near us. It's like, and he goes, why not? She's legal. And I'm like, the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
I looked at it
Yeah.
I was tugging on my collar, like, wait, somebody actually wrote that? I'm like, wow.
Then again, this is the same decade that we had the Animaniacs with the famous line of fingerprints.
I don't think so.
I just, like I say, I'm sat there watching that clip, and I'm like, okay, I'm slowly backing away from the monitors, just like, like put my hand, my arms up, like in the X pose, like saying, nope, keep away. I got nothing. I mean, if this was in, say, in an episode of Angel, which is clearly more aimed at adults, and to be fair, Liz, I think some of the VHS and DVD releases were actually rated 18, so that would have been rated R, rated mature in the States. If that line had been said in on Buffy or Angel, you'd think, okay, but the fact that was in an animated show that was clearly being put around, say, 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, just like, what just happened? It's like, damn.
Yeah, fair.
Since we got you here, thoughts on, are they likely to bring bats into the series, and like us, how do you think it'll go?
Honestly hope that they like at least have like the rest of next season is like kind of an arc building up to Batman showing up a little bit. I want it to be nice and slow. Don't just like go like breakneck speed with just Bruce showing up in Metropolis and just like all of a sudden Batman shows up. I kind of want some build up here. Maybe he's like either skulking in the shadows trying to find out what the hell's going on, especially with Amanda Waller's new Suicide Squad. I kind of would like to see a little bit of slow build with that. And okay, everybody's talking about how Lois is like well written. I'll get that. I agree, she's very well written. But there's still a moment where I'm a little tiffed at her. Was her little incident where she forced Clark to reveal he was Superman? That was not
Wanna
cool.
mention
Okay,
that.
yeah, that was not cool. I'm sorry.
Um,
I get she's very well written. She's like that's part of her character, but not fucking cool, Lois, man. Come on. I know that
yeah.
Clark was keeping secrets, but this is not how you get the attention. Like, have a nice conversation. Don't toss yourself off a fucking skyscraper to prove a fucking point. What if you had been wrong? You would have been splattered on the concrete. There. I'm sorry. It's like I don't mind it when superheroes reveal their secret identities, but there's a reason that they sometimes keep that a secret. Like, let's explain Peter Parker's entire love life for a second there. Just come
Well,
on.
And he has a lot to.
Mm-hmm. Or like better yet, let's keep it kosher. Why do you think Bruce Wayne keeps his identity secret as Batman? How many women have found out that he's Batman, have been put in bodily harm, or have been killed? Let's be friggin' honest. This man's has put a target on these women's backs since he put on the cape and cowl. That's why he doesn't tell people this shit. Same goes for his sidekicks. I'm sorry, just being a superhero is not exactly the best profession to live if you want to live a full life. Just saying.
Just ask Tony Stark.
Exactly. But all in all, it's like I'm looking forward to see what they do with season 2. But again, I was surprised by season 1, so it's like let's see what happens.
Mind you, this isn't the first time that Lois has deliberately put herself in harm's way to try to get Clark to reveal his identity. Need we discuss her throwing herself off of Niagara Falls in Superman 2?
Oh no, yeah, you're right. I forgot.
And in the same movie, Clark inadvertently puts his hand over the fireplace when, Lois is expecting like huge scathing burns and there's not a single blemish on his skin, and it's just like, and even Clark's at that point like, so close. But yeah, I do agree Lois could have found a better way. That's probably one of the few times, like you, I didn't agree with the writers for that. I do find in one scene, I think it was I'm not sure if it was like a prom or an award dinner they were going to, and they're sitting on the stairs whilst she's getting like her on-board stashed sewing kit just to mend his jacket, and she gets a call from her father, which she ignores. I know a few people that have issues with their parents or loved ones that a lot of people can relate to Lois in that situation. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Okay. Move on from that one. Right. One more. Oh boy, this is going to turn some heads.
What now?
Ridley Scott. Dude.
Ah, crap.
Ooh, oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh shit.
Oh boy.
Folks, I'm reading this as a quotation. Take it out on him, not me. Napoleon director Ridley Scott dismisses critics, and I quote, "The French don't even like themselves." Sir, that is all on you.
Oh.
I'm not touching that.
No. Nope. Nope.
Nope.
No.
Nope. No.
No.
No. No. No. No.
No
No.
way.
No. 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 No.
Folks, this comes from Deadline.com. Ridley Scott has been typically dismissive of critics taking issue with his forthcoming movie Napoleon, particularly French ones. While his big screen epic starring Joaquin Phoenix as the embattled French emperor with Vanessa Kirby as his wife Josephine has earned the veteran director plaudits in the UK, French critics have been less gushing, with Le Figaro saying the film could have been called Barbie and Ken Under the Empire. Okay.
Oh.
French GQ calling the film deeply clumsy, unnatural, and unintentionally clumsy, and Le Point magazine quoting biographer Patrice Guinefe, hope I pronounced this correctly, calling the film very anti-French and pro-British. Asked by the BBC to respond, oh dear, Scott replied with customary swagger, "The French don't even like themselves. The audience I showed it to in Paris, they loved it. The film's world premiere took place in the French capital this week." Scott added he would say to historians questioning the accuracy of his storytelling, "Were you there? Oh, you weren't there? Then how do you know?" I'll agree to him with that. I'll agree to him on that point. The film, with the story spread over 6 different but equally huge battle scenes, was shot in an impressive 61 days. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And comes in at 2 hours 38 minutes. He told the BBC he wanted to keep the running time below 3 hours. Oh, thank gosh.
Yeah.
When you start to go OMG and then you say, as a Christian, I'm not saying that because, nope, we can't eat for another hour, it's too long. Scott, a veteran of big screen hits from Alien to Gladiator and Black Hawk Down, said he couldn't resist telling the story of Napoleon. He's so fascinating, revered, hated, loved, more famous than any other man or leader or politician in history. How could you not go there? And his star Joaquin Phoenix, who first worked for Scott 23 years ago in Gladiator, shared that he was excited to team up again with a director he still felt gratitude towards. "The studio did not want me for Gladiator. In fact, Ridley was given an ultimatum, and he fought for me, and it was just this extraordinary experience." And I will say, as the Emperor, he killed that performance.
Oh, he did.
Mm.
You wanted him to get his ass whooped for all the evil things he was
Oh, he got his just desserts.
I like how WWE parodied that 5 years later as the opening trailer for WrestleMania 21, and the Gladiator is revealed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. I like how even the Roman crowd are chanting "what?"
Like, oh, the what chance won't go away no matter where you are.
What?
Ah.
All I'm going to say, and I'm going to attempt to keep my comments tactfully objective. I understand why he said it. Personally, I wouldn't have gone there. Because I feel like you don't need to go there, man. And like I say, I agree with the point of, you know, were you there? How would you know? So, because they've only got the, historical artifacts, text, and what have you to go off. So, I suppose you could make the argument artistic license and creativity, for lack of a better description. But, you know, despite Ridley being rather candid and clearly controversial with that, as a director, he's one of the best the industry has ever seen. I mean, you look at Alien, Aliens, and then you look at Gladiator, Prometheus. I like to pretend didn't happen. That movie was awful. I mean, production-wise,
Avatar.
production.
Charlize, move to the side. Sorry. Every time somebody brings up that movie, it's like, why didn't she just move to the left? That wheel was just going straight, man. No, but if nobody knows what I'm doing, watch the movie and you will understand.
Production-wise, and the way it was shot, the way it was shot, it's one of the best. But the writing, okay, they do a decent job in kind of pre-establishing the xenomorphs and how they came to be. But I remember watching this on the plane ride back from Detroit 11 years ago, and I'm like, I should have watched the Avengers again, because I watched the Avengers going over from London to Minneapolis because I had interconnecting flights to get to Los Angeles with, and here's the thing with Delta Airlines: if you're coming from the UK to the East Coast, in-flight movies and provisions are free. You go to the West Side, you pay for it. I'm not kidding. You pay for it. So when I got on the flight back, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, I should have just sat down and just watched the Avengers again. It's just like, ugh. And Detroit Airport, actually, that was the first time I went into a McDonald's where you could pour whatever drink you wanted from the vending machine. It's actually the first time I actually had a McDonald's that was at an airport as well, so that was something. But I might give Napoleon a look, because it's one of those stories, in a similar regard, like Winston Churchill with Darkest Hour, which, by the way, Gary Oldman thoroughly deserved that Oscar. He nailed the part of Churchill with his mannerisms, and I hope the makeup special effects department got an Oscar for that as well, because the prosthetic makeup he put on to look like Churchill. The only part of Oldman I recognized was his eyes, because the rest of it I thought I was looking at Sir Winston Churchill. Although there's got to be a director out there that is wanting to tell the story of the German leader from World War II, but it's whether they have the courage, to put their career on the line to say, let's tell this story. And the studios are like going, no.
Actually, reminds me of a film called Downfall. I'm not sure if anybody's seen that.
I have seen that, and mostly for the memes. And by the way, the director absolutely loves the memes. I saw the one where he's reacting to the fact that Kit is a Mustang in the 2008 SG series, and to see him react like that, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty much like every other Knight Rider on message boards across the internet. Whereas with me, I know there are people that are detractors of the Kit Stang. I just enjoyed and appreciated the car for what it is, because I think in this day and age, people need to accept a couple of things. At that point in 2008, Pontiac stopped making the Trans Am 6 years before. So, accept that right now. And they said, oh, we could just still have David Hasselhoff. Like, you do know the guy was in his mid-50s by that point, right? And granted, in his mid-50s, he still looked like he was in great shape. But let's just imagine, for the sake of discussion, Raiden and Lids are impressionable 19-year-olds, and they've never heard of Knight Rider. Are they going to want to see a guy in his late 50s driving around in an 80s muscle car that their dad, their parents, or their uncles or aunties had as their pride and joy in their youths, when they could be offered someone else playing the role with a new car? What ones are they likely to pick?
I want the new guy.
I rest my case.
Man.
So yeah, I get what Ridley Scott's trying to do, but at the same time, you know, when we discussed earlier, or, you know, more talking about some anime quotes where sometimes wars are started over almost anything, Scott, you could cause an international incident with this. I'm just saying that as I'm just saying this as advice, because I happen to like your work, and here's the thing: I like the fact that he speaks his mind, but there's sometimes called a little thing called a time and place, and that was not it. And I'm gonna leave it there as that, because I don't want to drag that out further, because again, I try to avoid controversy like the plague. Like, MJ, what are your thoughts going to be on next year's presidential election? Runs out of the building. Nope.
No, 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 no.
Nope, not doing this.
No.
Runs into Oni, says, MJ, what the hell are you doing? They want my opinion on next year's presidential election. Let's go down.
No.
Get in the closet right now.
Let's go down to the basement. Have you got Pepsi in your Blu-ray collection? We're gonna be there for a whole week, bitching. Where are you? Liz comes in. What the hell are you two doing? They wanted our opinion on the U.S. presidential election. Make
I'll
room.
make snacks.
Let's put on Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Then Raiden knocks on the door. What are you doing here? They wanted my opinion on Vince McMahon's outcome for the next 20 years. Get yourself down here right now.
Time to hide in the bunker.
Hey, who ate all the nacho cheese? Oh, my bad, bruh. Really, dude? Don't worry, I brought...
It's not so cheesy as what's going on outside.
Don't worry, bruh. I brought some flaming hot Mountain Dew. By our God.
No! No!
If you don't know what we're talking about, folks, check out one of the Red Dead Redemption streams. You'll understand why.
NJ, please tell me you brought something good. I brought Domino's. Did you get it with pepperoni? Yes. Did you brought it with mint cookies for afterwards? Yes. All is
You
well.
can stay.
Hey guys, I got hot Mountain Dew with cherry flavor. Why?
Like, get out of here right now.
Oh god.
Still, could be worse.
It could be worse.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
They could invent Ghost Pepper Mountain Dew.
Please don't.
No, please no. They're gonna do something like that, and it's gonna be like, this is your fault. You did this. Well, not really, but you know.
Oh dear. Steve, thoughts on Ridley Scott's opinions about the reaction to his movie, or are you gonna call him mulligan?
Scott, keep it classy.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Raiden.
I can't lie to you. I find it very hilarious. I wouldn't say it, but at least someone had the balls to say it. But you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Madam President.
Oh God, this is the Last Duel all over again, but worse.
Oh no.
Again, if anybody remembers what that happened with that controversy with Ridley Scott saying that The Last Duel didn't do well because of, I don't know, Marvel or some shit. I don't know. He was blaming some reason. It's like, no, Ridley, it didn't do well because nobody wants to spend their time being depressed like that. They'd rather sit in home and do that because that movie is long, pointless, and based on a book from a person who is an irreliable narrator. So no, I don't want to watch your movie that's about, it's a history lesson that is a little boring. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have no problems with Joaquin Phoenix. He's an amazing actor. Joker proved
Yeah.
that completely tenfold. But yeah, I'm not going to freaking sit here and watch Napoleon, all right? I'm sorry, I got better things to do with my time, like playing Baldur's Gate 3, which by the way, that game's awesome. But all in all, Ridley, stop putting your foot in your mouth, buddy. Just stop. I get that some being a little bit racist is not gonna get people to see your movie. Okay? Because the French are still a race of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of racist. So yeah. Sit down, shut your mouth, and let your publicist promote your movie because this is fucking ridiculous at this point.
Ooh, Sean.
Yeah, I'm not
Well,
touching.
oh.
I'm not touching that.
Nope. Nope.
I think Ridley Scott at this point in time probably needs a social media publicist in the same manner of Hulk Hogan on Twitter.
Or maybe he needs to take a break from social media.
Yeah. Like I say, great director, great visionary, has inspired probably 2 or 3 generations of movie directors, but get a filter. Just saying. And on that note, that comes to the end of another performance of Sunday Night Live, and seeing as Daisy is online at the moment, I think she's playing Doki Doki Literature.
No,
no.
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh
Oh God,
God!
I'm having PTSD flashbacks. No.
no.
Is it really that bad?
Man.
I screamed on Oni stream to the point it cut out my audio because I was screaming so loud.
It wasn't. It's not a bad game. It's just terrifying.
Yeah, it goes to places.
Well, I'm only raiding because I'm actually subscribed to her, and some of the things she puts up on her Instagram, particularly with her VTuber model, when she's not playing horrifying PTSD-inducing games, as mentioned by my co-host here, she's just she's just an adorable delight, especially with I don't know if she puts this voice on purpose or if it's just how she naturally speaks, but the way she talks it's just so sweet. Okay, hang on. Blondays. That will pretty much conclude it for tonight. Don't forget to check out Madam President over at her Twitch page at twitch.tv/Kitsune Rakaku, and to the first man in Onirakaku at twitch.tv/Onirakaku. Please try to get him to another $200 payout so he can.
Yes, please.
But when you go over to Madam President's page, make sure it's $785.54 plus 2,000 bits for 1 month. And she's looking at me like, that's oddly specific.
Really specific. with how much I have to pay on taxes, I probably won't be able to stream again.
And
Anyway, I appreciate that.
it's all right. Um, special thank you to my co-host once again. I can't guarantee this, but next Sunday I will be hoping to have BVS ready by next Sunday, because the voiceovers and the filming has been done. It's just my sleeping schedule's been a little bit on and off this week, so probably, excuse me, that's the monster talking. Probably tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday night, which means I won't be streaming the rest of this week. I'll be getting the edits done for that, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, I will be working on the season 20 finale, only because, going back to what we said last week, I'm looking to, for the foreseeable future, probably for the next 4 or 5 months, just to produce one movie review per month, because it gives me time to focus probably a little bit more on the writing, but also just to get the voiceovers and, you know, the filming of my camera footage down to a point where it's like, yeah, you know, this is some of your better work. And also because of, as I've said before, the walls in this place are not as thick as I thought they were, so I have to pick my moments accordingly, and it's one of the reasons why I try to get to sleep at a slightly earlier hour on the days I have off, so that once I wake up during the day, I'll be like, okay, 30 to 60 minutes just to sleep this sleep inertia out of my system, probably with the aid of a can of Monster. You people you have no idea how much that actually helps first thing, because coffee helps, but it only helps to a certain point. And then I'll be getting, like I say, the filming and the voiceovers done for that. The filming of Sonic 2 retrospective, I haven't gotten the edits back from Random yet, because I've asked him just to give it a look over, but he's busy with one or two other things, so he has to prioritize. So, you know, he's putting all this other stuff first, which is fine. I get it, because I got to do the same thing. So it's only once I get some things back, and I'll probably have to edit a few things out, because Random likes to get creative and colorful sometimes with his writing. So there's that. But hopefully, and I stress hopefully, by the time we get to the season finale on December 17 next month, I will have Sonic 2 ready.
Okay.
Well, because one of the things I've been trying to focus more on this month, or this season rather, is getting the voiceovers right. Because one of the things I've discovered through Vegas is raising the volume doesn't really do anything. You've got to do compression, normalization, and equalization, and as soon as you do that for your voiceovers, it just sounds so much better. Because unfortunately, when you raise the volume by amplifying it in Audacity, yes, you raise the volume, but you lose some of the clarity with it, and you get more of a white noise hissing in the background. So I probably spend an extra hour or two when I'm doing voiceovers now, just so that, you know, the volume and the coherency are all level. It's just something I'm focusing more on, and or more on probably should have spaced that out a little bit. It's like how I was watching a Between the Ropes video when Heyman was talking about a man called Mark Hunt. If you tried saying the name too close together, you'd get...
Oh.
Yeah, so if you happen to know somebody whose first name is Mark and last name Hunt, space those words out. Just space them out. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah, I'm usually very easygoing with certain curse words. That is one I'm like, no. Don't go there. Just don't. Anyway. With regards to when we'll come back for season 14, I think, as we've done before, we probably won't come back until probably end of January, early February, just so that we've all had a reasonably long rest. And then we go into the spring/summer season of next year. And yeah. So, until next week, I have been the Knight, saying good night from the Knight.
Goodbye, everybody.
See y'all.
Right. 2 viewers are ready to raid Blondays. Okay. See you next week.
Oh, wait, what's happening?
Hammer,
The
embarrassed.
raiding.
Did Sari really
Oh,
tell her
okay.
about it that
Sorry.
quickly? That we're a couple now? Yo! Thank you so much, MJ Knights, for the raid. Let's go.
Like I say, she's a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.